Hello, and welcome again to Not Fake News. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Not Fake TV is not funded by big tech or big companies. We're funded by people like you. Please consider supporting us by going to the link in the description, notfaketv.com. And welcome to another episode of today's censored news, the news the mainstream media does not want you to hear. And while we take a look at this cartoon of the day, and then get right into our breaking stories. And we'll get into these breaking stories. East Coast elitist Cory Booker says he will create an office to combat white supremacy if he's elected. So we're going to skip over that because we see everything we need from that one. Breaking, 3 Epstein lawyers challenge autopsy results. MCC prison staff refuses to help investigators. On Friday afternoon, the New York City medical examiner ruled top U.S. prisoner Jeffrey Epstein's death a suicide. The medical examiner's office said in a statement Friday that an autopsy and other evidence confirms the 66-year-old financier pervert hanged himself in his cell at a federal jail from his bed bunk. Bullshit. Epstein was found hanging in his cell from his bed with a prison bedsheet wrapped around his head, according to the law enforcement spoke to the New York Post. Epstein is 6 feet tall, reportedly secured the bedsheet at the top of the bunk and wrapped the sheet around his neck, and had to go on his knees to kill himself. Many close to Epstein fear he was murdered, and CBS News, citing an unnamed source, also reported on Tuesday that shrieking and shouting was heard from Epstein's cell on the morning of his death. The source also said they heard correction officers saying, "Breathe, Epstein, breathe," while trying to revive him. Following the release of the autopsy, Jeffrey Epstein's lawyers challenged the autopsy results, and their reports are that MC prison staff are not helping investigators.
And Greg, breaking tonight, 3 of Jeffrey Epstein's lawyers are challenging the autopsy report and planning their own investigation into the cause of death. The lawyers also blame the Metropolitan Correctional Center for medieval conditions and for not protecting Epstein by violating numerous protocols. Meantime, the autopsy results themselves are vague. Normally we get diagrams, descriptions, and definitions to help decipher the findings, but so far, all the medical examiner is saying is Jeffrey Epstein died by suicide and that the cause was hanging. The Daily Beast is reporting that the marks on Epstein's neck look like those from fabric, which squares with the information that Epstein tied a bed sheet around his neck and secured it to the top bunk. There are reports that Epstein was found kneeling forward, as if lunging forward, but several medical examiners say lunging as a rule is not enough force to break the hyoid bone. And they add that just because he was found on his knees doesn't necessarily mean he didn't throw himself off the top bunk. And adding one more twist to an already dizzying canvas, Fox News can now confirm that some MCC personnel, including prison staff, are not cooperating with the investigations into Epstein's death. But with Congress and the DOJ both conducting separate inquiries, the belief is that many will be compelled to cooperate. Greg.
I would imagine. Trace, thanks for...
Leaked audio, New York Times executive editor tells staff to ditch Russia collusion lies and start focusing on Trump racism for election. Wow. A recent leaked audio of a New York Times employee town hall includes editor-in-chief Dean Baquet telling his staff of propagandists to ditch the Russian collusion nonsense and start focusing on President Trump's racism. We don't get to hear the audio? Okay. All right. Okay, but this is the transcript. Wow. I know you're getting at, this is a roundabout public editor question, right? No, it is not. It is not true. I mean, I don't know if Roxanne. Okay. So we get the gist of it, though, don't we? The editor tells his staff to ditch the Russian bullshit and start focusing on how Trump's just racist. Portland braces for domestic terrorism rally and Antifa counter-protest. Another month, another pair of dueling protests in the People's Republic of Portland. On Saturday morning, Joe, Biggs, and the Proud Boys are staging an event called End Domestic Terrorism in response to Andy No's being attacked and the city's overall preferential treatment given to Antifa. Rose City Antifa, meanwhile, is staging their own counter-protest. The DSA, along with various other leftist organizations, are planning diversity of tactics disruptions, such as the Banana Block Dance Party and the Shit Show Poop Block. I don't know what that is. Or the tampon-themed Tamp Out Hate, put on a Memorial Day candidate Sarah in whatever. Expecting mass violence, rumors are abound that National Guard might get called in. Since the Portland police are short-staffed, one former officer tells the Gateway Pundit that there are now 180 vacancies out of 1,001 sworn positions. In fact, Police Chief Daniel Outlaw is claiming that this is all hands on deck day, and no one is allowed to have a day off in a mini feud. The feds could be involved too, but Outlaw is trying to claim that she can handle it on her own. Police have essentially declared parts of downtown to be no-go zones and are urging people to avoid the area. Several businesses plan on shutting down for the day. Police are also shutting down the main bridges into downtown. August 17 demonstrators, event press secretary.
But obviously you're doing your best to track their movements and their plans for the weekend. The local Antifa affiliate, if you will, or whatever you want to call it, Rose City Antifa, they claimed responsibility for the attack of Andy No. What do you know about their whereabouts and their plans for the weekend?
Well, as the police commissioner, my job is to give broad strategic direction. So what I'm telling the police bureau is no violence, no vandalism. Don't let the shitty city get shut down. Don't let the shitty city, the shitty city, the shitty city. Don't let the shitty city get shut down. Our message is a simple one. We are unified as a shitty city. We're opposed to violence. If you bring your violence here, we'll have the people, we'll have the shitty city personnel, we'll have the resources. We'll enforce the law, and we'll be ready for you. People are going to see a much larger shitty city, so we're asking people not to come here.
I did not edit that. That was already edited. That was funny. Read what Wheeler said below, and then watch what was actually said at the Unity rally.
We must not forget that fascist rallies like the one scheduled for August 17th are interconnected with recent domestic terrorist attacks committed by white men on communities of color and religious minorities. These fascist white nationalists have sponsored monthly hate rallies in Portland during the summer since 2017 under the guise of exercising their free speech and assembly rights. Creating false equivalencies between violent white nationalists and those willing to defend our city against their violence is unacceptable. Pandering to a national climate that accuses Portland of being soft on Antifa is unacceptable. There is no equivalence between racist, anti-Semitic, Islamophobic, homophobic violence and those who say no to it. Antifa must not be scapegoated. We are, in truth, a city that is anti-fascist. A military-level response from the police that puts all of our residents at risk is not the answer. We are heartened by the call to create a community coalition to address violent hate at its source, because countless strategies are needed to be deployed to move upstream and find solutions, and not rely on state-sponsored police repression.
So in closing, I want to thank everyone for being here. It is a little hot, so rather than taking Q&A from the press here, we're going to hang out afterwards, and if the press would like to meet with us individually, we'll be happy to do that.
Very interesting. By the way, we will have, notfatetv.com will have a reporter at this event tomorrow in Portland, all day catching hours and hours of footage. So please subscribe and hit the notification bell, and also go to notfatetv.com. Support us there. Very important. Your support is what funds trips like this, and without you we couldn't do it. Okay, let's continue. Anti-communism protesters in Hong Kong fly American flags and sing U.S. national anthem. This was amazing, folks. The real, see, this is what Antifa thinks they are, but they're not. They're the opposite. These are the real anti-fascists. This is a Hong Kong guy singing the national anthem, waving the flag, and then you see a lot more too. Watch.
Chinese government make a promise to Hong Kong and say, oh, we would not extradite political dissidents, we would ensure fair trial, and if the Hong Kong government extradite its people, its citizens, back to China, and China breach its promise, there's nothing Hong Kong government can do. So there is no way that Hong Kong citizens should trust the Chinese government and the Hong Kong government.
And thanks again for watching today's Censored News. The news the mainstream media is hiding from you. Intelligence community IG lawyer with ties to Clinton suspected of leaking during Hillary email probe now works on the ODNI. And they're not sending their best. Egyptian national and Uber driver convicted of raping drunk woman he picked up at a casino. Ahmed El-Ghafari was found guilty of raping a drunk woman he picked up at a casino near Philadelphia. And just like every other case, he is he's likely to be deported. He was found guilty, but his lawyers, the team of lawyers he has, is saying she flirted with him. And she asked for it. That's what she's saying. A 15-minute ride to the woman's home took 53 minutes. They're saying the 21-year-old woman seduced the driver. Prosecutors showed jurors a photo of the woman passed out in the back seat in her own throw-up, and he said, he needs you to believe this is the face of seduction. Wow. No, that's because he comes from another part of the country where this shit is okay. He doesn't realize in America he's in jail, and he shouldn't be deported right away. He should serve 20 years in jail, get raped a few times with that pretty face, and then send him back, liking men to his country of Egypt. And then have him get thrown off a frickin' building when he gets there. How about that? That sounds like a better plan. If you like our videos and you feel our content provides value in your life, then please consider going to notfaketv.com. There you'll be supporting not one, but up to 20 different YouTubers. Many that you may even already know. NotFakeTV.com is a safe haven for these YouTubers to post whatever they feel like posting without fear of being demonetized or removed from the platform. Please consider going to NotFakeTV.com. Your low monthly cost of only $9.99 a month will support and give these YouTubers a safe haven to work. Big tech and mainstream media are trying to silence conservative voices. Don't just sit there. Step up. Help. NotFakeTV.com.